everyone. I am delighted to be joined today by Mary Callahan Erdoes, the CEO of JPMorgan Chase Asset and Wealth Management. It's one of the largest investment managers and private banks in the world, with more than $3 trillion in client assets. And Mary is also one of Fortune's most powerful women. So I'm incredibly excited to have Mary with me today. Mary, thanks for being here.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Let's start with the economic outlook. What are some of the economic and business trends that you're seeing as we look ahead toward the path to recovery?
First, let's hope that we're on a path to recovery. So that's what all signs are showing that we are towards. I think we oversee a great sum of money for clients all around the world, and that each one of them provide us a different perspective on what's happening in places like Asia versus places like Europe and the United States of America. And I would first and foremost say that if anyone tells you what they think is going to happen in the economy anywhere in the world with great certainty, that's a pretty bold thing to do, because given what we don't know about the disease and the recovery and the vaccines and all of the different parts of it, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen. And time is the thing that is working against everybody, right? So every moment of time that economies stay closed is a moment harder to ramp back up from an economic employment GDP perspective. What the markets are telling us is that we will ride through this in a pretty expeditious manner. And they also, remember, markets see through sort of 18 to 36 months ahead. And so it sometimes doesn't make sense. People sometimes think that that we're off kilter with where markets are versus where reality is. And it's really important to remember one thing when it comes to the economy and the world global geopolitical issues versus the markets. They're two very different things. And so if you look back at all past wars, tragedies, natural disasters, very few of them ever have a long-term effect on the stock markets. The stock markets ride generally right through those. Economies are resilient for big public companies to get access to those markets and be able to make their way through. And so that's a lot of what you're seeing. And that doesn't mean you still won't have major impacts on different parts of the economy. If you look at, for instance, what's going on in Asia and Hong Kong and the like, the rebound is a lot faster than I would have thought in terms of people wanting to go back to the office, in terms of people wanting to get out to the restaurants, to the bars, to the interacting, the social interaction. So that's a very good sign. And as soon as we can get that going, and in places like the United States of America, when you have the summer months coming on, I think that's a very good sign. And I would just end on the general economic conversation by saying that you should never bet against humanity. You should never bet against the scientific community and all that is being put to work. And then to layer on top of that, that never before have we had an issue that was hitting everywhere around the world at the same time. So you have all forces on this one issue. And that's why the speed with which we will come to some better conclusion of how to solve for it, rather than what we have today, which is almost nothing. I think that's what we have to bear in mind.
What do you think is going to be a driver of reputation for businesses in this crisis?
Reputation is all we all have. It's the only thing that matters at the end of the day. And most of the time, major crises or disasters or very unfortunate turn of events in a company are the defining moment to either make lemonade out of those lemons or not. And you can find yourself in those situations in a variety of ways. Today, all companies are facing it in some degree at the same time. And so how do you think about distinguishing your reputation in terms of what it is that you're going to do for your stakeholders?
Let's talk about a couple of trends then that are impacting reputation and are impacting business. The first is supply chains, right? There's been a ton of global disruption because of the pandemic. What do you see as the future of supply chain management coming out of this?
That's a great question. I think first and foremost, countries will be more isolationist as they deal with their own issues. And then they will start to break out into regions. So you can see places like Southeast China and Hong Kong and maybe even parts of Taiwan will come together to think about travel bans within there. You're starting to see that in Europe, where you open it up and you can have travel within certain areas. So first it's your country, then it's a region. And so maybe you'll find that Singapore and maybe even Australia, maybe that will start to be a band all the way up north through China. Maybe you'll start to see all of Europe, UK, and the like. And then same goes for the United States, and then maybe that's North America. Time will tell, but supply chain management is going to be something that's going to be totally rethought through. How do I think about providing the products and services to my clients? How do I think about taking care of my country first and foremost? And then what are the relationships that we have with all of our different trading partners around the world? Those are going to be strained, hopefully not broken. And I think new alliances will be formed as we go along the way here. And we're hoping that they are the right new alliances as opposed to dangerous new alliances for the world.
The second issue, also impacting business, impacting reputation, is ESG, right? Investment in ESG was on the rise before COVID-19. Do you see that weathering the downturn? Will there still be a commitment to sustainability?
So I think every great company in the world is focused on environmentally sound products and services, socially good products and services, and great governance on behalf of their company, their employees, their constituents, the communities that they're in. That's ESG. It's not the same in every country, everywhere around the world, because everyone is on a different trajectory in terms of where they are with the economic development within their country. So you can't hold one company in the same industry to the same standards as another company in another country. That's difficult to do. You can tell them to constantly raise the bar. As an investor, we spend a lot of time with the CEOs and the CFOs of the companies that we are talking to about investing our clients' money in their company. Are they doing the right thing for the future? Are they doing the right thing for ESG? I would have thought during the early months of COVID that would take a backseat to, how are you dealing with all the other pressures? Very surprisingly and pleasantly surprising, ESG has stayed on the forefront of people's minds. And I think this time of being quarantined wherever you are around the world has made you reassess what's important. So what is important in the world? Is it about making the next dollar, or is it about doing the right thing? Is it about getting to the finish line first, or getting to the finish line the right way? And I think all of those questions are the ones that the proponents of ESG have been asking for years. We spend so much time, but now we're all sort of grounded in that. Of course, that's the most important thing, that makes sense. And so it has stayed on the forefront of investment dialogue, and I hope that continues. I hope we don't lose that momentum. I think it's very important for the world that stays high on the minds of why I would buy company A versus company B. And capital is the most important vote of how you think about that.
That pleasant surprise is actually interesting. It leads me to my next question, which is, right, we're seeing one of a great tragedy as far as public health crisis, a global economic crisis. But what are the signs that you see for optimism, if any? And it sounds like ESG might be one.
ESG for sure is one. I think healthcare is another. I think some countries have shown how strong their healthcare system is, how fast they can mobilize efforts and resources and the like. I think other places in the world have shown that they're maybe reliant on one place or another, or that they're not prepared. And with the global interconnectivity and global travel and global supply chains, you can't imagine a world in the future where some pandemic wouldn't spread just as fast as this one has. It's our new reality. This is not going to be the last time this happens. And so we all have to be ready for that. And healthcare systems have to up their game massively. This was a great wake-up call for those who are not ready for it. And it will also help all of us who are ready for it to maybe help other countries or other areas who are not. And I think that's going to be a very important development, and where a lot of capital is going to be deployed around the world, is getting that up in people's priority lists in terms of how we're going to take care of constituents around the world.
So for my last question, you were the only woman to graduate in your class from Georgetown with a degree in mathematics. And I just want to know, I'm really curious, what lessons, what experiences did you take away from that that you still use today to shape your leadership and your role?
Being the only female math major graduate in Georgetown was hard. It was something I had many doubts through the ups and downs of the years and the grades and the like. I had questioned whether I had the wherewithal to be able to make it all the way through to the senior year, when in sophomore year or junior year, it just seemed, some of the problems seemed insurmountable. And I think that's when you define who you are. Do you have the stamina and the wherewithal to dig deep and figure out whether you can try your hardest, do your best, become a subject matter expert? And you may not be able to do it alone. I had lots of people help me. I had lots of different, friends that I would ask for help, or teachers that I would go to for after-hour sessions. And once you do that in almost anything in life, whether it's sports like you were so famous in doing at UCLA, whether it's business, whether it's a major, whether it's a minor, whether it's cooking, anything that you choose to do in life, once you can do that super hard thing and get over that hump of not believing, even that you, not knowing whether you can believe in yourself, it frees up the whole future to say, all right, now in my next task, I know nothing about it. It seems quite daunting. Someone's asking me to do something that by definition I haven't done before, because it's a new job or it's a new assignment or it's a new promotion, and I can do it. I can get the resources, I can dig deep, I can become a subject matter expert. Some of these may take longer than others, but I'm going to do it. And so the earlier that happens in life, the better. And that's why I think it's so important with all of our children and your young children, and that we let them go through that on their own, and they have to find in their own way how to dig deep and master something. And the thrill that you get and the pride that comes from that are lifelong lasting things that you carry with you forever. And I think that's probably the most important part of my Georgetown experience.
It actually feels like that's a good lesson for all of us now, right? As we're facing one of the most challenging moments in global history, for us to think about how we come out of this stronger, a little bit more confident all across the world, and figure out how we tackle bigger challenges from here on out. Because as you mentioned, there certainly will be.
Certainly. Your work in the government is a perfect example of that, right? How do I manage all of these thousands of people? How do I deal with crises that are happening every day around the world? Where's the playbook? There isn't one.
Right.
You learn on the job, you get people to help you, you work with fabulous people, you serve your country, and wow, you did such a fabulous job for us.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks so much for being with me today. I know our clients, our people at Weber Shandwick, are really going to benefit from hearing about your thinking, your reasons for optimism as well. So I appreciate you being with me.
Just an honor to be with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.